One single call, and suddenly $4 billion worth of brands vanished from a festival poster overnight. No one is explaining why. But I know. And by the end of this, so will you. Everything you think you understand about hip-hop, who's winning, who's losing, who is quietly orchestrating the biggest power shift this culture has ever seen, is about to collapse and rebuild itself before your very eyes. Stay with me, because what you're about to see will change the way you think about the music industry forever. One call, just a single call, and overnight, $4 billion worth of brands vanished from a festival poster. That's the combined market valuation of companies like Pepsi, Diageo, Rockstar Energy, and PayPal, all of which pulled their sponsorships from Wireless Festival within hours. No one is explaining why. But I know. And by the end of this, so will you. Everything you thought you understood about hip-hop, who's winning, who's losing, and who's quietly orchestrating the biggest power shift this culture has ever witnessed, is about to unravel and rebuild itself right before your eyes. Consider this. In the history of hip-hop, no single artist has dominated the Grammys and the Super Bowl in the same year with the level of cultural and commercial influence that Kendrick Lamar has achieved. 27 Grammy Awards. Headlining the Super Bowl halftime show for over 100 million viewers worldwide. An album studied in university courses. Every major platform and brand vying for association, not just for profit, but for the prestige that comes with being near his work. Meanwhile, the contrast could not be starker. Another artist with similar historic influence sees sponsors fleeing, government officials publicly condemning his presence, album debut numbers disputed, and critical reception collapsing, all in a single week. One artist magnetizes money, accolades, and respect. The other, despite billions in potential revenue, faces an industry turning away. And yet the full story is not in the headlines. It's in the numbers, the charts, the contracts, and the culture itself. The version of this story that made it to your timeline was sanitized, approved, safe, carefully curated to be digestible, unthreatening, and forgettable. It's the version that doesn't scare anyone, that keeps the real power struggles hidden behind clickbait headlines and curated social media narratives. What I have is the other version, the one scrubbed from multiple industry threads before sunrise, the one that names numbers they didn't want you to calculate, the one that exposes a psychological unraveling so complete, so transparent, that once you see it, you can never unsee it. This is not a recap. This is an autopsy, and the body on the table is the very idea that there was ever a real competition happening in hip-hop at all. Forget chart positions, Grammy nominations, or streaming wars. The traditional metrics, the 152,000 first-week streams here, the 27 Grammy wins there, tell only half the story. The other half, the unspoken half, is about the economic decisions, the sponsorship withdrawals worth billions, the governmental interventions, and the cultural authority that moves silently but irreversibly. Hip-hop isn't just about albums and tour. It's about power, influence, and control. And right now, that entire ecosystem is being reshaped in ways no headline could capture. February 2026. The Grammy Awards. Kendrick Lamar walked into the building already carrying 22 career wins and 9 fresh nominations. What unfolded over the next few hours was nothing short of historic, a seismic moment in the 67-year history of the Recording Academy. This was not a partial sweep. It was not a near-complete sweep. He swept entirely, decisively, leaving no category unclaimed. Best Rap Album for GNX. Best Rap Song for TV Off. Best Melodic Rap Performance for Luther alongside SZA. Best Rap Performance for his feature on Clips, Chains, and Whips. Record of the Year. He entered the night holding 22 trophies, and he left with 27. 27. The single greatest Grammy haul ever achieved by a rapper. More than Jay-Z's 25. More than Kanye West's 24. More than every legend, every icon, every once-in-a-generation talent who has ever wielded a microphone in hip-hop history. Every prior standard, every historic benchmark, every milestone, suddenly it all fell beneath one name, Kendrick Lamar. In a single night, he didn't just dominate a ceremony. He redefined what dominance in this culture looks like. And here's the detail that elevates this from impressive to unprecedented. Kendrick Lamar became the only male rapper in Grammy history to win 5 or more awards in a single ceremony. That's right, 5 awards in one night, a feat no other male artist in 67 years of the Recording Academy's history had ever achieved. Not Eminem, who won multiple Grammys during the Marshall Mathers LP era. Not Jay-Z, who racked up 25 awards over decades of industry D. Eminence, not Kanye West, whose college dropout and late registration campaigns revolutionized hip-hop but never reached this particular milestone. Not Lil Wayne, even at the peak of his 2008-2010 dominance when he was the most prolific and chart-topping rapper alive. Not Outkast, not Nuz, not anyone. Kendrick achieved in one night what 7 decades of male hip-hop artists could not, surpassing the Grammy totals of every rap icon before him in a single ceremony. He didn't rely on the traditional levers of influence either. Unlike other artists who flood social media, buy promotional campaigns, or spend months courting voters, GNX dropped with virtually no traditional rollout, almost entirely by surprise. Yet it still swept every category it touched, from Best Rap Album to Record of the Year, earning 27 Grammy wins in total, cementing him not just as a nominee or a victor, but as a historical outlier, a generational talent whose influence is quantified not only in awards, but in record-breaking streams, chart performance, and cultural impact. When your art is that undeniable, the politics, the marketing campaigns, and the media machinery all become irrelevant. The numbers don't lie, and the impact is measurable. 27 trophies, 100+ million Super Bowl viewers, global brand partnerships, and university-level academic study of his work. The rest of the industry doesn't just notice, you have to reckon with it. When your art is that undeniable, the machinery becomes irrelevant. Politics dissolve. Narratives collapse under the sheer weight of the music itself. Every boardroom strategy, every streaming algorithm, every chart manipulation attempt pales in comparison to the force of genius. Hold that image. While Kendrick Lamar was rewriting history on the Grammy stage in Los Angeles across the continent, Kanye West was preparing the rollout for Bully, an album that would become a case study in chaos management. The release was anything but smooth, staggered, disjointed. Digital streaming platforms, DSPs, didn't receive the album until a full day after its YouTube live premiere on March 27, 2026, creating an uneven launch that analysts immediately flagged as likely to depress first-week streaming totals. As if that weren't enough, Billboard, the institution that has defined chart credibility for decades, adjusted its chart methodology during this exact window, changing how direct-to-consumer sales were factored into first-week counts. Kanye's team at Gamma disputed the numbers immediately, claiming the true figure was 201,000 units, while Billboard reported 152,000 units, broken down as 96,000 from streaming and 56,000 in pure album sales. That's a discrepancy of nearly 50,000 units. No formal audit, no transparent explanation, just a number on a chart and an industry-wide debate over accuracy. The result, Bully debuted at number 2, edged out by BTS. And while the headlines read Kanye West misses number 1, the story behind the numbers told a deeper tale. A staggered release, methodological shifts, and a global fan base caught between streaming platforms, physical sales, and official tallies. It was a launch that exposed the fragility of even the biggest names in a streaming-driven, data-obsessed music industry. And it wasn't just about numbers. That same week, fabricated streaming data surrounding BTS's Arong circulated online, creating a storm of misinformation so extreme that HYBE had to issue formal statements and threaten legal action against anyone spreading the false figures. The entire chart ecosystem, Billboard, streaming platforms, and industry analysts, was thrown into chaos, raising questions about data credibility, counting methodologies, and the transparency of the systems that govern the global music industry. Meanwhile, Kendrick Lamar's GNX was already historic, already certified 5 times over in a single Grammy ceremony, already sitting at number 1 months before its official rollout, with no controversy, no rule changes, and no disputed units clouding its achievements. It was pure dominance, measured by artistry and excellence, not chart manipulation or PR campaigns. Every metric, streaming numbers, critical acclaim, fan reception, cultural impact, aligned to validate the work. No asterisk required, no spin necessary, just music, just unassailable generational dominance. But here's where the story shifts from charts into something far darker, far more revealing, and far more disturbing. The numbers didn't expose Kanye West. He exposed himself voluntarily in full view of the world. In a now infamous interview with DJ Akademix, Kanye appeared wearing a black KKK hood, an image that shocked viewers across social media and made headlines globally. He didn't just make a statement, he delivered a spectacle of psychological unraveling. During the interview, Kanye listed 3 reasons why he claimed to have a problem with Kendrick Lamar. These were not simple grievances or artistic critiques. They were confessions, raw and unfiltered. Each one acted like a psychological X-ray, exposing a mind in crisis. A mind observing its own relevance crumble, struggling to comprehend why its influence, its dominance was slipping. The interview revealed ego, insecurity, and disorientation in real time, providing the public with a window into a cognitive collapse as unmistakable as it was alarming. Reason 1, Kanye claimed that Kendrick Lamar allowed the industry to use him to take down Drake. Let's decode that. What actually happened was far more impressive and far more organic. Kendrick entered a lyrical battle with Drake and delivered one of the most surgical, culturally dominant victories in modern hip-hop. Every bar, every cadence, every punchline was meticulously crafted, yet it wasn't manufactured in a boardroom or orchestrated by executives. This was pure artistry, executed with precision and memorability that fans, critics, and peers alike celebrated worldwide. Kendrick wasn't a tool for the industry. He was the industry's measuring stick. The industry didn't use Kendrick. The industry needed Kendrick to maintain relevance, credibility, and cultural dominance. Reason 2, Kanye declared in effect that Kendrick is not number 1. Beneath the bravado and posturing, the unspoken truth is painfully clear. Kanye believes he is number 1. Every instinct, every statement, every public display communicates this. But the metrics tell a different story. The Grammys awarded Kendrick 27 trophies, making him the most decorated rapper in history. Billboard charts, streaming platforms, Super Bowl audiences, and critics, consensus all reinforce the same reality. Kendrick Lamar is the dominant force in music today. Every quantifiable metric contradicts Kanye's perception. And that contradiction, the unbridgeable gap between belief and reality, is what he cannot process. His mind struggles to accept that, for the first time in decades, someone else occupies the summit of hip-hop while he watches from the sidelines. Reason 3, Kanye did not want Kendrick Lamar appearing on Cardi B's album. This wasn't about artistry or collaboration, it was pure territorial panic. Kendrick had claimed the creative lane that once belonged exclusively to Kanye, the experimental, boundary-pushing space that defined an era. He watched the torch pass from one visionary to another in real time, and he could not stop it. Instead of processing this moment with the grace and perspective that true greatness requires, Kanye erupted publicly. He donned hate symbols, ranted on camera, attacked Kendrick Lamar and Tyler, the creator, criticized past performances, and even claimed with no supporting evidence that he could defeat Kendrick in a rap battle. This was not confidence. This was psychological disconnection, a mind struggling to reconcile ego with reality, clinging to relevance that was slipping away. And this is only part of the story. There's also a critical economic dimension that mainstream media refuses to examine honestly. Take the Wireless Festival controversy as a case study. Within hours of Kanye being announced as a headliner, 4 major sponsors, Pepsi, Diageo, parent company of Johnny Walker and Captain Morgan, Rockstar Energy and PayPal, pulled out, collectively representing a $4 billion stake in festival branding and sponsorship. This was not emotional or reactive. These were data-driven decisions made by corporate teams whose professional existence is dedicated to protecting shareholder value. Internal research determined that in 2026, the financial cost of associating with Kanye West exceeded the potential benefit, creating a unanimous, rational exit. The message to other brands considering partnerships: clear, devastating, and irreversible. Instability repels capital, and reputation is currency. While the headlines focused on controversy and spectacle, the real story was economic consequences unfolding in real time. Now contrast that with Kendrick Lamar. His ecosystem is the mirror image of Kanye's chaos. Apple Music built their entire Super Bowl halftime strategy around him, recognizing that his artistry could deliver unprecedented cultural and commercial impact. The Grammys promoted him as the centerpiece of their broadcast, highlighting the undeniable influence he wielded across the industry. iHeartRadio structured their awards show around his nominations for 2 consecutive years, cementing his dominance as both a creative and commercial force. Every brand, every platform, every network wants proximity to Kendrick, not because of hype or controversy, but because excellence is magnetic. In contrast, instability, unpredictability, and scandal repel capital, as Kanye's wireless fallout proved. And then came February 9, 2025, the day that would become a defining moment in hip-hop history. The Super Bowl halftime show, Kendrick Lamar headlines completely solo. No nostalgic cameos, no medleys to pad the runtime. Just one man, one S. Tage, one vision, watched simultaneously by over 100 million viewers worldwide. Critics were unanimous. Pitchfork called it fierce, Rolling Stone declared it historic, the Associated Press labeled it a defining moment for the genre, and the Los Angeles Times called it a watershed performance that rewrote the rules of what a halftime show could be. This wasn't just a performance, it was a statement of cultural authority. Every note, every bar, every movement broadcast across global screens reinforced Kendrick's dominance, not through drama or controversy, but through artistry, preparation, and sheer mastery of his craft. Where Kanye's influence had fractured, Kendrick's ecosystem thrived, building momentum, prestige, and irreversible value for every platform, brand, and fan engaged with him. And the silence, that is the loudest sound in hip-hop right now. Kendrick Lamar has not engaged publicly. No interviews, no social media statements, no responses to provocations or controversies. He does not need to. He lets 27 Grammys speak for themselves. He lets the Super Bowl halftime footage loop across screens in every corner of the globe. He lets GNX play in every city, every platform, every speaker, unfiltered and undeniable. That is the distinction between legacy and liability, between an artist whose work carries the weight of history and one whose ego does all the talking. Meanwhile, the signals Kendrick has been dropping are seismic. Over 100 songs were reportedly recorded during the GNX sessions, a vault of material lying unreleased in Compton, awaiting the right moment. Whispers of a massive 2026 world tour span multiple continents, promising an unprecedented global footprint. His producers, Soundwave, Mustard, and the PG Lang team, have spent years refining these tracks, distilling the best into the 12 tracks that became GNX. The rest, potential 80 to 90 unreleased records, a treasure trove that could redefine the next chapter of hip-hop. While the industry debates whether Kanye can survive the fallout from his own decisions, Kendrick is elsewhere, headphones on, focused, building the next monument in silence. No distractions, no drama, no need for spectacle beyond the music itself. The trajectory is irreversible. Records have been set. Trophies are shelved in Compton. And that silence, it speaks louder than every scream, every tantrum, every interview conducted behind a hood. It is a signal the industry cannot ignore, a declaration that the future of hip-hop has already chosen its course. The only question is no longer who won. That was settled the moment GNX dropped, the moment Kendrick walked out of the Grammys with 27 trophies, the moment he headlined the Super Bowl halftime solo for 100 million viewers worldwide. That question answered itself long ago. The real question now is, how much further can this go? How many records will be shattered? How many stages will be owned? How many moments will be created that the next generation will study, and the current generation will remember witnessing in real time? Kendrick Lamar is not slowing down. He is reloading. Every unreleased track, every whispered tour date, every calculated move from the PG Lang team is a step toward a new summit in hip-hop history. And when the next chapter arrives, it will not merely continue the debate, it will erase it entirely. Critics, rivals, and skeptics alike will be forced to acknowledge that the work, the legacy, and the influence are undeniable, unassailable, and irreversible. The silence that has defined Kendrick's rise will continue to speak louder than any tantrum, any controversy, any fleeting headline. The story that the industry tried to sanitize, to obscure, to control. This story is now set in motion. And those who thought they could compete, manipulate, or disrupt, they are merely footnotes in the narrative Kendrick is writing with every record, every stage, every note of music. The debate is over, the era has begun. And those four sponsors who fled Wireless Festival, Pepsi, Diageo, Rockstar Energy, and PayPal, Kendrick didn't reach out to them. He didn't make a single call. They ran on their own, driven by cold, calculated data. And the man they ran from, he didn't even notice. He was on stage, commanding 80,000 fans, declaring with unshakable confidence that he could never be stopped. Meanwhile, the man they are running toward, watching, reacting, lashing out, has not said a word. No public statements. No frantic PR damage control. That silence, unbroken and deliberate, is the loudest sound in hip-hop right now. It reverberates through every boardroom, every playlist meeting, every label strategy session, and every sponsorship negotiation across the global music industry. Because when the work speaks, shouting becomes irrelevant. And Kendrick's work has been screaming. 27 Grammys, a historic Super Bowl halftime solo, a flawless run from Section 80 to GNX, And yet more records, more stages, and more moments are on the way. The story that industry insiders tried to bury, the story they hoped the public would forget, is now the only story anyone will remember. Excellence does not chase attention, it commands it. And right now, every eye, every ear, every metric in music is focused on Kendrick Lamar. The only question isn't who won, that was decided long ago. The real question, how far will Kendrick go? How many records shattered? How many stages dominated? How many iconic moments created? He is not slowing down, he is reloading. And when the next chapter arrives, it won't continue the debate, it will erase it entirely. If you're watching this unfold and want to witness every moment, every record, every historic stage, subscribe now, turn on notifications, and stay locked in. Because the story of Kendrick Lamar is just getting started. And trust me, you don't want to miss a single second.